My favourite band, The National, recently released a new album. When I listened to it the first time I thought, well, it's okay. When I listened to it the second time, it started to grow on me. I've now listened to it about 5 or 6 times, and I'm beginning to think it's one of the best albums that they've ever released. What does this have to do with photography and algorithms, I hear you ask? Very good question. Stick around and I'll see if I can explain. How do you find inspiration for your photographs? How do you further your photography knowledge? How do you share the brilliant photographs that you produce with others? I'm guessing that you've answered online to at least one of these questions. The fact that you're watching this video on YouTube now suggests that that's true. The online world is a fantastic resource that we have at our fingertips, whenever and wherever we feel the need to access it. However, the online world is changing the way that we interact with the photographic image, and, from my opinion, not necessarily in a good way. Let's look a little bit deeper into the big wide world of social media and their clever algorithms. In a broad sense, the way these algorithms work is to keep you on a given platform for as long as possible. The way they do this is by looking at what you look at and feeding you more stuff like it. As we scroll through our feeds, we can be fooled into thinking that we're seeing a true reflection of the world, but we're not. We're seeing what the algorithm wants us to see. A sugar-coated, ego-boosting, rose-tinted view. I'm one to talk. Ultimately, the main role of social media platforms is to make money. And they do that by keeping us happy, leading us towards more targeted advertising. We may think that whilst they're doing this, we're broadening our horizons, when actually we're being blinkered into a world that we've created for ourselves. You may have noticed that gear reviews often do really well, especially here on YouTube. And that's because everybody knows that photographers have gas. That's gear acquisition syndrome, of course. Although, I may have to open a window in here in a moment. In all seriousness, because we're led to believe that better gear makes us better photographers, we're more inclined to search for it, and therefore more inclined to spend our money on it. Ka-ching. I'm sorry if this video's starting to sound a little bit negative, because I really don't want it to be. You might be thinking, oh, Tom's off on one of his technophobic rants again, but I use social media all the time to find inspiration, to learn and to share my photographs. But I'm always trying to be conscious that I'm not consuming and sharing tantalising, ego-enhancing content. Another way in which the online world, social media in particular, is changing the way that we perceive photography is the draw towards instant gratification. When we see an image appear on our social media feed that doesn't have instant impact, we're tempted to scroll on straight away, searching for a more impactful fix. Take a look at this photo by Andrei Katej. If this popped up on our feed, I think we would be tempted to say, oh, it's a chap with something under his arm in an urban setting. It's not that great. It's not contrasty enough. There's nothing really catching my eye. Let's just scroll on. But this photograph was taken long before the internet and social media came along. It was taken in a world where photography was more about slowing things down, to appreciate a moment, allowing us to look into photographs rather than searching for that initial impact. The more I look into this picture, the more I'm tempted to ask questions. Who is the gentleman in the top hat? What's he got under his arm? What's the shop selling on the left-hand side of the frame? Where's the train going over the viaduct? What's going on underneath the viaduct? It looks like there's some work going on. Who are the people in the background? Where are they going? Where have they come from? Who's the person coming out of the shop on the left-hand side? In order to make that photograph, the shutter would have been open for a fraction of a second. Yet, in order for me to ask all of those intriguing questions, it probably took at least 30 seconds. When was the last time you looked at a photograph on social media for upwards of half a minute? The more we look into good photos, rather than just looking at the superficial details, the more intrigue they create. For me, anyway, this is something that social media negates. Instant gratification from punchy, impactful pictures can be all well and good, but we can often miss out on the meaning, subtle cues, the humanity of the moment, and ultimately the intent of the photographer. Just like it took me a while to get into the National's new album, well thought out photographs can take us a while to get to know, to contemplate, and to get a feeling for. By mind-numbingly scrolling through image after image on our social media feeds, we're bypassing one of photography's most important powers, the power to challenge what we see. Behind me here is a book full of photography books. Unlike the photographs on social media, the pictures in these books aren't going anywhere fast. I can pull any one of these books out at any point and leaf through them at my own pace. And because they're printed, I feel subconsciously that they're worth more. More work has gone into the production of them. And because I've bought these books, I feel like I need to spend more time looking at each image individually before turning the page. For me, good photography means something that I can get my teeth into, something that I can analyse and really look into, and I need time to be able to do that. I don't want you to think I'm telling you to boycott the internet and social media altogether in your pursuit of inspiration and getting your photographs out there, because that couldn't be further from the truth. As I said earlier, the online world is a fantastic platform for us to further our knowledge and to be inspired. Indeed, I wouldn't be able to share these views with you if it wasn't for the fantastic resource that is YouTube. What I am saying though, is that we need to hold on to photography's power to challenge us. We need to learn to look at photographs in a more thoughtful way, rather than dismissing them because they don't have some kind of instantaneous impact. To do that, we can look at photo books, we can go to exhibitions and see physical pictures hanging on walls. If all else fails, we can just slow down a bit more as we're scrolling through our feeds and notice the photographers that are dedicated to the craft, rather than looking at those ones that have photographed a cat that's been frightened by a cucumber again. The world that we create on social media may draw us in with the thirst for more likes and instant gratification. At the end of the day, it's stroking our ego. But it's not really a true representation of you as a photographer. If you share your photographs on social media, don't let that pull for likes draw you into making meaningless photographs. Photography should always be about self-expression. It's not necessarily all about the settings that you set, composing a photograph the way that you think it should be composed, or post-producing your way to success. Just like listening to the complexity of the National's lyrics, or the rifling sounds of one of their intricate drum beats, when we look at and make photographs, we need to give ourselves time. Because the more time we give ourselves, the more we will discover, and the more those photographs will mean something to us. So, if you'd like to hear another one of my technophobic rants, this time about how AI might have an impact on the world of photography, then check out this video next. And if you've got something out of this video other than a headache, then please give it a like and subscribe to find out which flat cap I'll be wearing in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Ka-ching.